Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new middle of the day market update. We're going to talk about the crypto markets. We'll talk about Bitcoin, XRP, and some altcoins that I thought were interesting today. That's what we'll do. We'll talk a little bit about the news today as well. We got some news. I live streamed the news as well. The news result in the end was not that relevant. We'll still talk about it a little bit because it has an effect on the general financial markets. But yeah, so that's what we'll do. So let's get right into it. And the main goal is obviously to keep you prepared for the markets as well as possible. So then we're talking about general market direction, for which we have to take a look at Bitcoin, because at this point of time, almost the entire market is very correlated to Bitcoin, and that is the number one thing you need to know. If you're going to be trading altcoins, most altcoins, not all of them, but most are very correlated, right? So if you're going to take a long position in an altcoin, make sure that the direction for Bitcoin also lines up with that. But all right, so the news that we got today was unemployment rates and non-farm payrolls. Those are pretty neutral, right? I mean, non-farm payrolls, we had some higher than expected. We had some lower than expected data. Unemployment rate was as expected. So down the line, or at least under the line, I think I should say, has no effect. And what we have seen over the course of today is that the general bullish momentum that we have seen in the equity markets, right? So this is the S&P 500, basically the US stock market, that has continued today. We opened a little bit higher. And so far we've held that as well. Now, this is at resistance, all right? So I would be a little bit... not worried, but cautious, all right? Because even though at this point of time this is still strong, what we have also seen today is that yesterday we had a lot of specific strength coming into Bitcoin. We started off with a lot of leverage coming in, as you can see right here. And then we had a lot of real spot volume coming into Bitcoin that pushed prices higher. And now Bitcoin is holding its own relatively well right here. And you can also see that the Coinbase Bitcoin price is still at a premium. So at this point of time, there's no reason to be afraid, right? I mean, especially if you go to the 1 hour time frame, if you go to the 4 hour time frame, I think Bitcoin will be able to hold this general area, for now, right? So I don't really see any reason why that would happen. However, we're just one bearish headline away from the price dropping down much harder, right? And it is possible. We have some imbalances down here, which usually, if the price drops down into that can cause some very strong or some very aggressive selling pressure, right? And like I said, at this point of time, there's nothing wrong, but there's also no independent bid pulling up Bitcoin. Right, so what that means is that if the S&P 500 starts falling, Bitcoin will follow, right? And Bitcoin historically falls down a little bit harder than the S&P 500. So be aware of that. Outside of that, no major news. I mean, one of the key reasons why the markets are strong like this is that there seems to be a bit more stability in the world. You can see the volatility index continue to drop down, for example. We've had a bit of an ease in tensions between the US and China, which was obviously one of the main causes of bearish pressure in the last month. So that helps, but like I said, geopolitically right now in the world, but also when we're talking about trades and the US, things can still go south, and you should know that. For now though, talking about Bitcoin is very stable. There's still an imbalance here to the downside. I've talked about very often now already. We might feel that, but I would argue as long as we hold 95,400, Bitcoin is still bullish. And short term, we're even holding this balance right here between 96,400 and 97,300. And I think it's most likely, at least for now, that we'll be able to hold that balance. All right, so that's even more bullish than dropping down towards 95,400, even though dropping down into that wouldn't necessarily mean that we'll get bearish. But right now, the main thing is just wait for a breakout, right? Wait for the balance to really break. So be careful for fake outs like this, right? So be aware of that. That is a possibility, and we have seen that quite often in the last 2 weeks. But as long as you know that, just wait for a real breakout, a break with volume, and then that's the direction that Bitcoin will go. And I would say the most likely breakout, given the strength of the last 2 weeks, given the general trend, is still a bullish breakout. All right, and whether we pull back to 95,400 before that or after that, I don't know. All right, unfortunately, I wish I did. But yeah, so that's what I would expect for Bitcoin. Like I said, most altcoins kind of follow Bitcoin right now. I would say XRP, same thing. XRP is relatively stable here between 2.28 and 2.15. Short term looks most likely we're going to fill that imbalance at 2.28. I don't, however, think that XRP is going to be strong enough to break through. So I would expect stability. Talking about some other altcoins though that are interesting. Let's talk about that for a brief moment here. I think EOS is quite interesting. That broke out with quite a lot of volume. Volume has dropped down since that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's over, and we still have this massive imbalance to the downside we can fill, and we can rally afterwards. What more do I have? Sonic. Sonic is also quite interesting. So that's just S, right? That's a $S if you cannot read it. Sonic is also very interesting. And I still think Say will go for bullish continuation as well. But trading this is quite difficult, I think. It seems a little bit too easy, which very often means that it's not, right? But that's it for now. That's what I think you need to focus on. That's what I think you need to know about the markets. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.